Hello everyone, Rachel here from Rachthestamper.com. The past few days I've shared some cards with you. We made these cards on a YouTube Live, and we made these cards on a Facebook Live. And I had a couple other cards I wanted to share with you, but I just don't like to make my videos go over an hour because I know that's a lot to ask people to watch. So I have been testing out a few things, and I'm going to show you a couple things that we're going to do. I actually got this card from another demonstrator. I don't know her name, but her blog is My Inky Fingers. And so we're going to be using Thick Whisper White as our base. And then I actually went ahead and embossed a piece of Whisper White with the Old World paper folder. So it's really pretty. This is a beautiful card. I can't even believe I never thought of using this with it in white. It's really pretty. One other thing you could do if you wanted to is you could actually take your bone folder and kind of rough up the edges a little bit. It'll kind of give it that little bit more of a rough old paper look. Now, I'm not going to do it on the long sides, just on the short sides. So you just kind of go against the edge, and it kind of separates those fibers of paper. It is really pretty. I wish I would have come up with this idea of my own because it's gorgeous. So this is going to be our layer. And then the rest of it is kind of a lot of building. So I did not look at the ideas on the blog. I just looked at the picture, and I'm kind of trying to figure out as I go along. So, side note, did a couple crazy things. So for this one, what I did was I stamped the nest in Early Espresso, and then I used my light cinnamon cider blend to fill in the center, which is cute, but wasn't still my favorite. I still don't know that I have a favorite. This I actually inked in cinnamon cider, so I inked the nest in cinnamon cider. Then I inked it again in Early Espresso, and I moved it just slightly, so that was another way you could do it. For this one, I actually inked the nest in crumb cake, and then I went in with my Early Espresso marker, and I kind of just added in a little bit of side pieces to it. And then on top of that, what I did was I went in with my Early Espresso, and I just inked the edges of the stamp a little bit, and I actually stamped on top of it. So the only thing is you can see a line here, but I think this is the one that I like the most. And I'm going to see, it may be too dry now, and I probably should have done this sooner, but I'm going to grab a blender pen, and I want to see if you can just soften. You might not be able to soften this line a little bit because I should have been a little bit more careful when I was stamping it. Could probably blend it out a little bit, maybe with the crumb cake marker. See if I can. That kind of softens the edge just a little bit so you can't see the lines necessarily. But the other thing I did was I went ahead with my crumb cake marker and I filled in some of the white spaces, which you saw me do in the other video as well, just because it gives a little more depth, at least to the bottom of the nest, so it doesn't just look like it's full of air. And if you were to have the eggs in there, then, you know, you can't really tell. So that's kind of what I was going for. So what I am going to do is I'm going to die cut this, and I'm actually going to emboss a sentiment on top of this. So this card is very pretty. It does have a lot of detail, and the other thing that it uses is the Forever Fern stamps and die, so really the bundle. And what I did here, I started off, I didn't finish with 3 of them because I wanted to show you the rest of what I did, but this one used, what did I use? Garden Green, and then I used the Pretty Peacock marker. So what I did was I inked this in Garden Green, and then I took the Pretty Peacock and I filled in the center. You can see it's a little dark. I stamped it. I wasn't 100% happy, so I moved on. This is Mossy Meadow and Pretty Peacock instead of Misty Moonlight. So again, Garden Green, Misty Moonlight. This is Mossy Meadow and Pretty Peacock. And I thought I would do one more. So this is the other stamp. And I was trying to think of like a green combination. So I figured I would try Old Olive for this one. So I'm going to show this one to you. So I'm going to go ahead and ink it in Old Olive. Just fully inking the stamp. Okay. And then I'm going to take my Night of Navy brush tip end of my marker. And I'm just kind of going to go in and add a little bit of color. Not really a lot, just in a couple places here and there. Trying to kind of be natural, so to have a little bit of an upswing in it. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to huff or exhale on my stamp just to reactivate the ink and stamp it. Let's see if I can get that in a place where maybe I can die cut all these and we can use them together. So it really is neat because it gives you, I actually like this one. I think these two are my favorite though. But it gives you a lot of different color variances in the leaf to kind of give it a more natural feel. The other thing that's great is this specific stamp set is really good for that because of the way it is designed. It has a very realistic look to it. So I'm going to clean this off. And I think I might do one more because they had 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do one more with this one. So I'm going to repeat that same thing again, but with a different piece of cardstock. Let me see, just grab another scrap here so I'll show you what I mean. So we'll do this one again. So I'm going to do Old Olive, and then instead of Night of Navy, I'm going to do Pretty Peacock. So I'm just inking my entire stamp. And then I'm going to take the brush tip of my Pretty Peacock and just kind of adding in. Doesn't really need to be everywhere. I don't know how this, I'm being a little crazier with this one. I don't know how it's going to look. I'm going to huff. Oh, that one's really pretty. So it just gives you some variances with your ink. Again, you can totally tell the different colors that I used for these. And you do want to make sure that if you're going to do this again, that you just clean your stamps so you don't have any residual. That way you're not contaminating your ink pads or anything. And I'm just going to try one more while we're at it. Let's do Pear Pizzazz. And I'll do that with this one instead. Pear Pizzazz. Okay, and I'll go back to Misty Moonlight. So just bring in some. Because you can tell I'm not being careful, so. All right, so that one doesn't look quite as good. It looked better when I was being a little bit more careful, but it still does give a variance. So it's just basically a little bit more visual interest. I really, really like this one with the olive and the navy. That turned out really, really good. All right, so while we're at it, I'm just going to show you one more thing. I'm pretty sure I'm done with those. I do need the dies, but I'm going to show you one more thing, and let me clean this off with the nest. So with the nest, the thing is you don't want it to be flat, because if you have just a flat nest, it's not going to look very realistic with everything else that's in the picture. That's what we're going for, okay? So I'm actually going to, you could see from this one using the blends, it did go through to the other side. But I'm actually going to, and I even tried this before just with the cinnamon cider, but it wasn't quite dark enough. So let me try Sahara Sand. I'm going to stamp it in that first. And then we'll go and add maybe soft suede. So Sahara Sand. Whoops. Okay, and then soft suede. And I'm gonna just, I can see where it is, but I'm just slightly changing the way it's lined up so it's not exact. I don't want it to be exactly on top of each other. So that one does look a little better. I did miss a little spot there. I didn't press quite as hard as I should have, or for as long as I should have. So I'm going to grab my crumb cake, and I'm going to just kind of bring in, that's a little too dark actually, because it's direct marker. Let me try my blender pen. Kind of soften the inside inks here. Now this is going to need to dry, specifically if we were going to do any embossing on it. So there's that. And if you wanted to, you could even go in with your early espresso and just add like a couple. Well, my early espresso marker probably needs to be brought back to life. And it's so old, I don't know that that's even possible. But I'm going to add in just a little bit of texture variances. I try to go the same direction, so I'll find the pieces that go this way and do those. That way it's easier, and then maybe the cross pieces. So that will be our nest. So we'll see which one we like better. I think this one looks good. This one I like a lot. This one is kind of even growing on me. This does not look good at all. So there are those pieces. The only other thing we have left are the birds. So for the birds, and I actually even have feet. I know you'll be proud of me. I'm going to do navy. So I have Night of Navy, and we're going to do, I only have one pair of feet though. I'm pretty sure that's all I'm going to do. So I have my navy bird. Another 2 bird. And which one's feet is this? Not that one. I want the other feet. Oh, did I get those out? Maybe I didn't. Maybe I grabbed the wrong feet. Yep, I did. Bring these out, put these in. Okay. So I'm just going to ink these in navy as well. All right, so I have both birds and the feet. Now, you can certainly go ahead in and color these now before we die cut them. So you could do these with a light color. You could do them with a dark color. I'm actually going to pull in some blends for this because I think they'll look nicer because it should be softer. So I have Seaside Spray and then I have Balmy Blue, but I'm probably going to stick with the lights of both of these. So I'm going to do Balmy Blue first. Just a little bit here on the bird to give it a little bit of depth. And obviously one of these birds has to be the prettier bird because you know the male birds are always more beautiful. So this is a little bit of light Balmy Blue. And I think I actually might bring in a little bit of dark Balmy Blue. Just so it's a little bluer in areas. Okay, and then, is this what I want? Crumb cake. This is my light crumb cake. So I'm going to bring in a little bit of tan. And then this one's going to just be a little blue and tan bird. In nature, we know the girls are not the pretty ones for some insane reasons. But that's just the way it is. I'm going to bring in just a little bit of dark Seaside Spray as well. Okay, so that looks pretty good. If you wanted to, you could always darken up the bird's eyes. And I'm going to actually do that with navy, Night of Navy. All right, there we have that. So we have our feet. So all we're going to do is some die cutting. So this one is going to take a few minutes. I do have quite a bunch of things out here. So let's see. We have this. Let me grab these fern dies. I'm sure a lot of times people would do some of these ahead of time, but I am kind of a fly by the seat of my pants stamper. I kind of like doing things that way. So and the other thing we need are our birds. So we have the nest and the bird dies, and then I also need, I don't think those are the correct feet. I think these are the correct feet, those. I think we're good. And if you wanted to, you could always add in some branches as well, but we're gonna cap it off at that so we're not crazy. All right, so what I'm gonna do is just try to line these up so I can do as many as possible. So I think I'm going to end up going with, I'm going to use this nest just to make it easy. So we'll go with this nest. Let me slide this so you can see what I'm doing. This nest here. I'm just going to put a little piece of purple tape. And we have, this one is here. And this one. And this one. All right, so I'm going to pop these through first. Then we will do our birds and our feet and the other 2 leaves. So I'm just going to crank all these through. And really all we have to do for this is assemble it, but I also want to make sure that this nest is definitely dry. So here are these pieces. This one. This goes here. I'm going to move these down so I can try to get the birds in as well. That way we don't have to watch me spend the entire day die cutting. I'm sure you all have much better things to do than that. All right, so we have the feet. The feet may or may not stay lined up because they're kind of at the edge. So this is definitely going to need a little piece of purple tape, but I do love the purple tape. It makes things so much easier. And bird. Even with the magnetic platform, honestly, it really does make it worlds easier. And our other bird. Okay, I'm going to move those over just a little bit. All right, so there's that. I already went ahead and embossed my, oops, this one moved at the last second. I did go ahead and emboss my 3D World folder before we started, just because I was trying to make it take slightly less time. I need one more piece of purple tape. Must have cleaned up just a little too well earlier. Since this is a new piece, I'm just going to get it on my hand. That way it doesn't rip the paper. Because the purple tape can do that as well. Because it is meant to stick, and it does. Okay. All right, so we're going to build this. The only thing we're going to hold off on is our nest. We have leaves. Birds. One little set of bird feet. The other one you really won't see, so it shouldn't matter. What I need to get is one of those little magnetic bowls so I can put all my dies in, and then when I'm done, I can put them back. That would probably be a really good idea for me. Okay, so we're going to set this on the side for now. And one other thing I'm going to do in the meantime is I'm going to take my my nest, and I'm just going to hit it with the embossing buddy just in case it's not dry. So this is going to just set on the side for a minute. Okay, so now I have my layers. So this is could be top folding, but I'm making it cross folding. So 4 1/4 by 11, squirt 5 1/2. I'm going to put that here. We have our embossed layer, which you could use either side. This is 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on with liquid glue because it has a lot of nooks and crannies. So you want to make sure you put something that's going to get into the nooks and crannies and make it stick to your base. So there's this. It's amazing to me sometimes the color combinations people come up with. They are so beautiful. Move these out of the way. So the only thing is we definitely are going to need our nest. So I'm going to just kind of decide where I want to put these. So we have one bird will be here kind of standing. This bird, the mama bird's going to be on the side. So we're just going to kind of decide where we're going to put all of our little pieces. Just like so. Have my feet. Oh my goodness, look at that. My feet still didn't even cut correctly. Jeez a whiz. I must not have had them taped well enough. Okay. You can see they're just slightly off. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually just re-ink them. And they're just going to be double feet because I don't want to make you have to suffer through me cutting more feet. So, oh, you know why? It's because it's the wrong feet. The wrong feet, the wrong direction. Oh, well, there you go. That's backwards. You know why? I used the wrong feet to cut it out. That's why. If you flip it over, it matches. So they're just die cut a little bit incorrectly. So I'm going to go ahead and put the birds onto dimensionals. And I know I normally don't do white, but since these have dark colors, they should be okay. So we have the bird, other bird, one more here. I think this one's probably okay with just one. All right, so we would have been sensible if I wanted to. I could have put the adhesive sheet on the back of this, but I'm going to just do this with liquid glue. So I'm going to just kind of eyeball where I have these. I am making sure I have a good amount of glue because, as I said, this paper has a lot of dimension to it. So just so it sticks. 2. Again, this bird we're going to keep because we're going to let him sit on that. This one will go this way. You could also add in some die cut branches if you wanted. I can't think off the top of my head, but I know we have some that have those as well. Okay, so I have this out. We're going to have our bird sitting on this one. So one thing I'm going to do is just going to eyeball where this is going to go. That way we have enough room for this little guy to be standing. So he's going to stand. Feet will be here. Bird will be above that. So I'm actually gluing. You can see this if you were to look at this up close. You can totally tell that it's on here backwards, but nobody's going to know. Okay. There's that. All right, so this one I want to do a little bit of stamping on. This is has a little bit of glue here, but again, it's going to dry and we're also going to be adding this. So I want to do this before I put the other bird and this one here. So I did my embossing buddy, but if there is the chance that you might possibly have still stickiness to this, what you can do is you can actually test it. And where is my powder? Here it is. So what you can do is you can take your embossing powder. I'm not going to use this one because this is white. We're going to use clear. And you can kind of dump it to see if anything sticks to it. Now this doesn't have anything sticking, so we should be good. But just to be on the safe side, you can either heat, set it just to dry it, or you can just use your embossing buddy again. So I have, nope, that's gold. Actually, gold wouldn't look bad. I don't know if gold is still one of our, I'm going to do gold because that'll be something pretty. We're going to do that. Hopefully gold is still in our available, our available embossing powders. So I have gold. I have my nest. I'm going to just hit it with this one more time just to be sure. Okay. Oops. And then we're going to also use Versamark for this. And I am fairly certain, oh my goodness, hold on. Well, I apologize for that. My son apparently reorganized my stamps. So what I thought I had wasn't out. I'm going to do congratulations. So we're going to just stick with that. I have another congratulations in a different stamp set I wanted to use, but we're going to just use this one again. So I am going to go ahead and start my heat tool so it's nice and hot. Okay, and then I'm just going to look, make sure this looks good. Okay, so I'm going to ink this with Versamark. Okay, and we're going to aim for stamping this in the center. Okay, then we're going to pour our gold embossing powder over the top. You see, looks nice. Okay, and I'm going to dump this back in. So if we don't have gold, or if you don't have gold, you can also use any color ink and use clear embossing powder. So what you would do is you would stamp your stamp into Versamark, then into the color, then stamp it down, and then add clear, okay? So let me pick this up. Looks good. Okay, and I'm going to heat this to set it. When it turns from powdery to shiny, you know you're good. Definitely going to have to switch hands, because it is hot and it is a very small piece of paper, but you can see that it's shiny, so it's done. Okay, so there's that. So the only thing we have, and oh my goodness, I hope I didn't cover up my bird. Nope, there it is. So we have our bird, and we have our nest, I should say, and our other bird. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of this. Here they are, right in front of me. Since this is brown, you're definitely not going to see it. So again, thank you guys for stopping in to see this. I did mention that I did case this from another demonstrator. My Inky Fingers. I don't know his or her name, but I thought it was a gorgeous card. So I'm going to put this here. Kind of covers up a little bit of the branches where they came in. And then this bird will go like that. You can always add, and I want to make sure, just make sure that your tail of the bird doesn't hang past this so it doesn't make your card wider than it needs to be. But such a pretty card. You can, even if you want to go back in just to add a little bit of something, you can always add a little bit of sparkle to your nest. Just remember that any type of a shimmer or sparkle or Wink of Stella type pen is going to act kind of like a blender pen, so it is going to reactivate your ink. So before you do something else, you want to make sure that you wipe it, because you can see it does leave some residual color, but it'll give a little sparkle. So you want to make sure you clean that off before you move on to anything else. So from like going for navy on the bird, if you went to the light, it's going to kind of bring those together. So just make sure you are careful with that. So same thing when you're done, always clean it off at the end. But really pretty card. Not really too complicated. A little bit of die cutting, but I like all the different colors of the leaves added in there as well. It's super, super pretty. And I do have another card that I'm going to share with you. It's another video. Same thing, another one with the Birds and Branches stamp set. It's kind of funny because you get something out and then you kind of get hooked on it where you can't stop using it. And then you realize you have to move on to something else. But I think this is really pretty. Another great idea with another really pretty stamp set if you happen to already own this. If you don't own this, you could get this in my online store, rachthestamper.stampinup.net. I also did use Well Said for my sentiment here. I really wanted to use the Peaceful Moments, but I'm going to have to dig around and see where Christian put that since I can't find it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I would love for you to give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Make sure you leave a comment, and I still am running the January 2021 special. So if you leave a comment, make sure you also leave January 2021 to be entered into my giveaway. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.